Hi, I'm not all dressed up crazy this time because the story I'm about to read to you is it's really close to my heart, and I learned a very valuable lesson from it. So it's about a friend, and I was in sixth grade at the time. I lived in Rochester, Minnesota at the time, and boy, I've been known to be a prankster from time to time, and kids, I've told you that a million times. I've been a bit of a stinker, but I learned a very valuable lesson, and I'm hoping that you'll listen to this story and learn from it. The name of it is Sorry, Opal. Oh, there are no pictures because I haven't illustrated them yet. Some things stick with you like fly and honey, and this is one such story. My class was taking a field trip to the toothpaste factory near Winona. I do not remember much about the factory, but what happened that day, I have never forgotten. With tubes of toothpaste in our hands, the bus stopped at the park across from Sugarloaf Bluff. We ate our lunches under the shade of a big cottonwood tree. The weather was beautiful. The bluest of skies were reflecting off the lake. After lunch, Opal and I played on the playground, ran around like kids do. Opal was in my class. She was the nicest girl anyone could ever know. She had the blondest hair and her skin looked soft like milk. Opal spoke gently, like the sound of soft musical notes. I was glad that she was my friend. And I need to tell you again that I have been known to be a bit of a prankster from time to time. Our class was getting ready to leave the park and head back home. And this idea just popped into my head, and I was excited to see it through. I whispered in Opal's ear, "Let's hide under the slide and see if they miss us." Opal looked at me with a puzzled face but said, "Okay." We sat under the slide and giggled as we peeked around the edge of the slide. It was so funny. But to our surprise, everyone got on the bus and left. No one called out our names. "Jade, Opal, where are you? We're going." There was no head check. They just piled on the bus and took off. What? We could not believe it. We dug our buried shoes from the warm sand and slipped them on our feet. Quickly we started running down the middle of the road. We chased after the bus screaming and waving our hands. I was never so scared. But at the same time, I was laughing my head off. We ran after the bus until it turned the corner and drove out of sight. Both of us stopped dead in the middle of the street and looked at each other. I said, "What are we going to do? How are we going to get home?" I was thinking that my great idea had turned into a great mistake. I really felt bad for talking Opal into going along with the idea. Then out of nowhere, a car pulled up with a young couple inside. They asked us if we had missed the bus. We told them that we had. The couple asked if they could help us take us to our bus. We looked at each other and said nothing. We had no idea what to do. We knew it was wrong to get in the car, but what other choice did we have? Our bus was leaving and we were not on it. So we hopped into the car. I honestly cannot remember the ride. I think I was too frightened. I looked out the window and saw winding roads, with woods on either side. I was wondering where we were going. The car finally stopped at the top of Sugarloaf Bluff, where we caught up with the bus. Our class was viewing the river valley through those odd-looking telescopes. I do not know what happened after that, but I do remember seeing the shocked look on my teacher's face. I felt bad. She looked so worried. Opal and I sat on the bus all by ourselves while the rest of the class finished exploring the bluff. I could see the other children pointing and heard them say, "They got left behind." Opal looked sick to her stomach, and I felt numb all over. When we got back to school, we had to go to the principal's office. I was so scared. I sat in a chair, and I think the principal was talking to me, but I could not remember a word he said. All I did was sat and shook my head. When I got home, I thought I was going to be in big trouble, but it was like nothing had happened. It wasn't the same for Opal. I think she told the principal and her parents everything that had happened. I didn't see Opal much after that. One day I went up to Opal and I asked her what happened. She did not have that gentle look in her eyes anymore. Her voice was not like soft music, but more like screaming trumpets. She was angry at me, and I knew I deserved it. She told me that her parents were making her practice the piano every day for 60 minutes. I guess that was a bad thing for her. Then she turned to me. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "I'm not allowed to play with you ever again." And she walked away. I was hurt and ashamed, and I felt really bad that I had hurt Opal, my friend. What's worse, I don't remember telling Opal I was sorry. They moved away shortly afterward. Over the years, I have forgotten the things my principal, teacher, and parents said to me. What I do remember is that I lost a good friend with one thoughtless act. If there's one thing you learn from my story, it's that the choices that you make as a child can have everlasting effects on your life. As a teacher, I can tell you that I have never forgotten Opal. With many years of teaching, taking countless numbers of field trips, I always take a head count at least twice. So, ouch, right? I learned my lesson. Yeah. And I wrote this and then I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great to get it published just in case Opal is out there somewhere and maybe she's a great pianist somewhere and she would read it and she would say, "Oh, I remember that." And then I could say that I was sorry. So I tried to publish it 8 years ago, but it didn't go through. But I want to thank my son Nick right now because I told him how I was reading Getting Along stories to the kids, and he said, "Mom, why don't you read your own stories? You've got some really great stories." And I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. So thanks, Nick. I love you.